We're live. Welcome everyone to the workshop. Today we have Steven, Morgan, John, and Jen. Bob is your name?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Have you guys been to the workshop before?
I have.
Fourth one.
Yes, I remember you. Alex says hi, by the way, Morgan.
Woo!
What about you, John? Have you been to the workshop?
This is my fourth one.
Your fourth one? Okay. And then Steven was telling me it was his first workshop. I just want to set the record that this is a comedy safe space, which is different from a safe space. Comedy safe space is where you can try out any joke that you like without like us judging you for it. You know, if you say something that's weird, that's totally fine by us. So yeah, the way it works is that everyone does 3 to 5 minutes on their. That's okay. Everyone does 3 to 5 minutes on their topic, and then we give them 3 to 5 minutes of feedback. I'm gonna try to be more strict on that tonight because usually I go over a little bit. And then once everyone's done their topic, we do 3 to 5 minutes, everyone on their own material, and the same thing with the feedback. Is that good for everyone?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, who wants to go first? Okay.
Who has the cat? Because it's quite exciting.
It is. I want to pet it.
Oh my god!
He's the type of thing that literally, if he leaves me alone unless suddenly I'm on the phone or.
Yeah, that's how cats are. Okay, I'll go first then. And I was supposed to do constellations today and tomorrow BMI, but I messed it up, so I'm doing BMI today. And I'm really sorry if you were hoping to hear something about constellations. Let me just set up the timer. All right. Okay. So BMI, it's the body mass index. I don't know if you guys know what a BMI is. You take your height and you put in your weight, and it tells you if you're fat. In scientific terms, though. So, like, it'll tell you you're below average, you're average, above average, or obese. Below average means, like, you have this super hot eating disorder, and all your friends hate you. And average means your doctor's very proud of you, and you just perfect human specimen. Above average means you really exceeded expectations. You did all the extra credit, and you finished all your soups, and you're better than everyone else. And obese just means eating to you is what studying is to Hermione. You know, you're just very excellent at eating, really mastered it. You put in your 10,000 hours. And you probably can't tell because I carefully chose the angle of my camera, but I'm in the last category. I'm obese. And I'm really creeping up towards the above average category. You know, I want to lose some weight, but I'm lazy. I mean, I want to keep eating the same things. I don't really want to exercise. I do want to lose weight. Like, I would kill to have Kim Kardashian's body, but I wouldn't go for a run. Like, I would kill someone, but I wouldn't go for a run. You know? I'm too afraid I'll look dumb while I run. Whereas, like, I feel like killers get taken more seriously. I don't know. Yeah. And to be honest, being overweight, it's the worst place to be because you're too skinny for plus size stores and you're too fat for regular stores. So you can either be really loose in your clothes and look like you're shrinking because you just ate that cookie from Alice in Wonderland, or you can look like you ate the piece of mushroom and you're on your way to burst out of your clothes, you know? and then you don't really look hot because you're sort of starfishing and you can't really move around. You know, those leggings are like barely covering your ass. And thank God is that new fabric technology that can really stretch it to the limit, you know? It's like those military grade leggings. Um, yes. So I like to give myself a little leeway for when I start gaining weight again. So I would lose too much weight. I've done this a few times before. You know, I'm like a human hacky sack that just loses stuffing and then someone puts beans back in again when it loses too much. Um yeah, so that's it for me. That's all the jokes I have on BMI.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So does anyone have any comments, any feedback, any jokes that they thought about?
I like the Hermione part. That was
Yeah.
that was a very solid, little tag.
Okay.
Alrighty. I thought somewhere along the lines when you're just talking about the BMI, you can make a comment that it doesn't show that you're sexy as fuck. So really, what does it matter? Type of thing. I thought there was somewhere in there to be able to make some sort of comment about that.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
take it from being
thinking about
serious
it.
to having like a
Yeah, like a different scale somewhere for how. Yeah.
because you can only write down so much when somebody's doing a set and you're trying to pay attention to the set at the same time.
That's okay.
I like your thing about like what you're willing to do to like lose weight or to look like someone. Because like as a kid, we used to say I was goth. We used to say like I'd kill to look like Amy Lee, but I'd die to look like the Corpse Bride.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I would like to hear more about like the experiences, not just like what you look like and like the different size clothing, but like your experiences if you've like tried to shop at a plus size store. Like I know about you, but I'm plus size, but I'm 5'1", so I'm way too petite for a lot of these like kind of like grown women clothing.
Yeah.
And they like will skinny shame me for being like too small for a lot of the clothes. And then at like regular stores, like people being like they don't have like extended sizes and stuff and like being rude about it or like trying to show me clothes that like I'm not looking for that design. They're just showing me clothes that like, oh, you might fit this. Like
Yeah.
those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I have those. I have the opposite where I go in a store and I'm like, just show me the clothes that fit me and I'll pick through them.
Yes, I hate when they do have like plus sizes at a store, but they're like, oh, they're mixed in. I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
you. Like, it's already like a hike for me to get in and out of this shit. Like, I need to find it immediately.
Yeah. I love that. Jen Bob, did you have anything?
Not really.
That's
Other
okay.
than like mostly because my BMI tends to stay in the negatives.
Oh, really?
No, not really. But I can't keep weight on for the life of me.
That's okay. You
So,
gotta runner's
It's
build.
a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have different struggles.
The struggle is real all the way around.
All right.
When you're making comments about all your different clothing options and you're going through it and stuff, I wrote down every day has to be like gym class if you actually want to be comfortable.
Oh, like with the elastics?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
your last joke is the human hacky sack.
Yeah.
I wrote that joke is gold, like just
Oh, thank
basically the
you.
entire concept. And then I also kind of wrote that I dashed with tags. Like I was thinking maybe you could think of a couple of other examples, just the exact same type of example as the human hacky sack type of thing.
Like I get passed around by college boys or something?
Well, that's
the
continuing
dream.
on the hacky sack, but I was
What?
I was thinking of other things that are basically deflated and then refilled.
Oh,
Sex
okay.
dolls.
Sex dolls, yeah.
Hacky sacks, a lot like sex dolls, are in college dorm rooms for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. I'll try to think of okay. Does anyone have anything else to say before we move on? No? Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
I was gonna pick you. Perfect.
Yeah.
You got chairs, right?
Yeah, I got chairs. Very excited about to talk about my experience with learning about chairs for the last week. I realized like chairs are like kind of the rectangle to the geometry world. You know, like chairs are kind of the fundamentals of the sitting world. Like chairs are you spend most of your life in chairs. Like you're just going from chair to chair to chair to chair. Like you wake up in the morning, like your bed is like a nice big chair, and then you transition to your car, which is a nice other type of chair, and then you go to work, you sit on the toilet, that's another type of chair, and your life is just built around making money so you can sit on more chairs. That's what life is really about. That's kind of like where I stood there from the chair point of view. I had a dream as a kid to that I needed to have sex on a chair just so my pillow and I can have a threesome. What a classic, nice little kid joke there. They came true, right? I was first chair tuba player in the second band of in marching band, and because of that reward, I was able to have sex with the equipment manager. That's what the first chair player in the top band got the cheerleaders and the flute players. Okay, good work there. I went in and I wanted to research the history of chairs, and it turns out the history comes back to Egypt. That's where the chair was created, and my theory is it's because being a Jew, I understand that like a lot of Jews were helping to build the pyramid, so I feel like it was just created because someone complained too much about their work for the day. Like they were like, oh my god, I'm in pain. But like they were like the whole entire time they were like working on the pyramids, they were just like focusing on what can I do to solve this situation. That was like one of their first like big like inventions that they were like, you know what, like it would be cool if we had this like four-sided thing, and I can see that they're arguing the whole entire day about the buildup of creating said chairs, and now we have a chair industry. Like you go to a hotel room and there's like 10 types of chairs, 10 types of industries. The economy is built on chairs. Okay, that's all I got on chairs right
That
now.
was good.
Yeah.
Good job. I wrote down that first of all, I love how many times you said the word chair. It's like 1 out of every 3 word was just chair. And I wrote down that you say like you were saying like the Jewish people were complaining, and I was really expecting an act out, like that you would like imitate like a Jewish person complaining. But that's just me.
Cool, I'll add that in. Yeah, thank you.
And then I wrote down also you were the first chair in the marching band, and I feel like there's like a pun in there somewhere where like you're marching but you're a chair. I don't know.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, I liked kind of it as like a full set. It was like a comedy thesis where you were like, guys, chairs are everything. Let me prove to you how that works. And like in like your current life with like your bed and like sitting at work, sitting in your car, and then being like your sexuality is connected to chairs. Um, I thought actually I really like kind of like the juxtaposition being like you have the sexual fantasy about chairs. I mean, not about chairs, but about chairs. And then to be like, also I was a band geek, and how that chairs were important and led to sex, and that like Jews invented chairs. I appreciate that, and it really kind of like reminds me of um, like if you talk like I'm Jewish, but like if you talk to like any old person of like a particular culture that they're like proud of, they can take any word and tell you how they invented it or like how that word derives from them. And that's like what I was picturing. Like normal Egyptian people, old Jewish man, like schwitzing outside, it's hot as hell, but really if the problem is chairs, like I think that's great.
Okay, it's good.
Oh.
John, did you have anything?
Yeah, I wrote down like you right at the get go you were talking about from chair to chair, and you just kept on going as you went on. And at the very end of it, I was waiting for it, but I didn't hear it. Is the fact that we're watching this and you're doing this while we're in chairs, like just to kind of just tie it all together type of thing. So like right when you had all these examples, and I'm like, if he doesn't say it, I'm writing it down. And I'm going to skip that one because I just wrote tuba players get no pussy. And then
Roasted.
and then I wrote down the pyramids. Who would have known that chairs would evolve to Chesterfields? And then I wrote ... So I thought my brain was going somewhere, but I was paying more attention to you and kind of just let my brain wander. So.
Thank you.
No, and you were saying when you're saying life is about chairs, it's all about chairs until you fuck up and then you get the electric chair. I was surprised there was an electric chair joke in there somewhere.
Until you actually did that subject, I would have thought, how does one actually go about that subject? And I think that you all but covered it.
Yeah. Someone said, "What about sex with a chairman?" Mm.
Good way to get a
That's a
job.
political joke.
Right,
Internal splinters? Are they just splinters on the inside trying to fuck a chair leg?
Just make sure you get
chair man.
Well, maybe a chairman is like a werewolf, but he got bit by a chair.
I was thinking a lot. I have no jokes for this. I was thinking about though, like musical chairs. When you started saying like, when I was a kid, I had dreams about chairs, and I was like, oh, musical chairs. Nope. I think there's something with musical chairs, and like something great about when someone sits on a chair and it breaks. It's almost like explosion and they fall down. I'm an awful person. I still like watching those videos, like a compilation video of people breaking chairs. That's pretty great.
That's amazing.
When you kept on talking about chairs, I actually had this visual of that chair from Pee-wee's Playhouse that was like an acid chair.
Oh, Cherry!
Oh, your secret name is ends in an O, Pee-wee.
Your secret name is what?
Okay, I don't know why I've been talking a lot about Pee Wee Herman lately, but one of the things on the show is your secret name is just your name and then O at the end, and I always loved that like Cherry's name was Cheerio.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. That's a good comment. All right. Does anyone have anything else to say before we move on to the next person? No? All right. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Yes.
Yes.
Just one of the women, so that we go like a boy, girl type of thing.
I had thermostats.
You had
It's
what?
thermostats, am I right?
Thermostats?
Oh, thermostats.
Thermostats. So in the 1830s, I'm sorry if I don't know if time started.
Yeah.
Perfect. 1830s, Andrew actually invented the thermostat, which if you didn't know, kids, that regulates the temperature of a room, not to be confused with a thermometer, which tells you the temperature of a room. That was the entirety of my learning about thermostats last night, because I accepted this at 10 p.m. It was a great time. But basically, I think like as comics, we're kind of like the thermostat of the comedy club, right? Like we take like the temperature of the room, and then we try to adjust it to be spicy enough so we can do our abortion jokes. You know, you got to get to the point where it's ready to bust those out. Personally, I don't have any abortion jokes. So I was like trying to come up with them, and I was like, what rhymes with abortion? That would be great. And I really didn't come up with anything, but I learned a lot about shit that rhymes with abortion. 96% near rhyme is abortion, your son. And I thought, no, it's not. That's the closest thing I could get to regulate the temperature to get to an abortion joke. 92%, the 29th word that rhymes with abortion, Morgan, my own name, which is really fucked up because I'm adopted, and I did not appreciate learning that last night, so thanks, Scott. But I think like in a more literal sense of like controlling like the heat in the room, I as like a fat girl love to control the thermostat. I always need it to be like ice cold even in summer, you know. But I work with those like little women who are like memes of what women are supposed to be. They're like so tiny in the office. And even in summer, they have like an office blanket, you know, like they're always fucking cold. I do not understand that. To me, those women's existence are like the mini and light tampons in like a variety tampon pack. Like nobody uses those. They're not relatable. They have to be a joke to all women. Because like for me, like if I don't have like the AC blasting, I'm like sweating my mom does in church. Because my mom's a whore. And like for me, it's like if I'm doing like full Instagram makeup, it's a solid 45 minutes. And you know, if I'm like my boyfriend's home, he like will sometimes even have the fucking heat on in summer. Like he's like a very skinny man. He like thinks he's cold all the time. And so 45 minutes in like after makeup, I'm like melting like Jabba the Hutt. Which he's like a nerd, so like as long as they look like anything related to Star Wars, like he still gets hard, so it's fine. But like if you take 45 minutes to look like Leia, I want to look like destroyed Leia after sex, not like Jabba the Hutt during sex. You know, it's a problem that I struggle with. For me, like I'm always like getting up off my Ursula ass, you know, cranking up the AC. And like if he was Ariel, honestly, instead of stealing his voice, I would just steal all his body heat. Because he claims that he's cold all the time, but he's boiling lava hot. Oh my god. Like at least when I control the AC, then when we cuddle, like I'm full Leia instead of like half Leia, and the half cuddling him is like fully melted off. You know, not really a fan of that. And that is what I got, guys.
That was good.
Nice.
Thank you.
I like how they went from thermostats to abortion.
I was like, what are other things we can talk about besides heat and AC? Like, we regulate temperatures.
It was good. I actually didn't know that the thermostat was different from a thermometer, so thank you for teaching
You're
me.
welcome.
And I really liked. There's 3 jokes that I really liked. Your office blanket, the mini tampons, and the joke where you're like, my mom's a whore. Like that was a classic misdirect. It was so good. Yeah. That's all the comments I have.
I actually have to put on my reading classes because writing is one thing, but I'm 48, and the second I hit 45, boom, like that. I went from reading no problem to fine print was blurry. just overnight. All right. I did write down a few things. Right off the get-go, you made comment about the creator of the thermostat being a guy named Andrew Err. And I picked up with that, and I just wrote down it rhymes with burr. And then you're also talking about reading the temperature of the room, and when you can break out your abortion jokes. And I wrote down dash give the crowd hot flashes or possibly give them the cold chills. So because I thought there was something to build off the thing there, just because of the topic you were talking about. And then you're also talking about the skinny chicks that you work with in the office. And I wrote down, you may be a liberal woman, but you're a thermostat conservative. Put a sweater on, skinny bitch.
Yes.
And then I wrote down, cuddling a skinny guy is like a heating pad, and every once in a while you have to throw them away.
Oh.
I think I probably meant to write push them away, but I just read what I wrote.
All right.
I think the joke would be nicer if it was to push them away.
Who wants to be nice?
Yeah, I don't think that's Morgan's style, being nice.
It all depends on if it's my own personal style. It also depends on what the joke is about, because I don't write. I can't write stupid shit. I can like write quick quirks that are funny, that are all make believe. But when I'm writing stuff, I write from a personal place. So if I actually like the person that I'm talking about, I'll use a funny adjective, but not a negative adjective, if that just makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Definitely. What you were saying about the abortions and like joking about hot flashes, I was like, it's like so horrible. I don't think I would ever do it on stage, but like there's something in there, like hot flashes and like abortion jokes and like hot water, like bathtub abortions. Those are dark. Women die in those, but
we used to, around this area here. There's that island I had told you about. It's got a bunch of hippies. Back in like the 80s and 90s, like when I was a teenager, that used to be called the Gabriola abortion. It was like really hot bath, bunch of red wine, some hippie talking to you, and yada yada yada. Like, it was one of those old school type of cleansings.
I guess you could call that a cleansing.
You are cleansing yourself of a parasite, so it's fair.
All right.
The Job of the Hut was really good. When you were getting into that, I think there's probably a lot more to expand there, but it was like really good. And also you can probably use that like write about any other like nerdy like movie in that sense too. I was trying to think about other examples. And then the tampon joke was hilarious.
I'm old enough to remember the movie The Black Hole, so my mind actually went there when she was talking about Star Wars, because Star Wars came out, and then there's a movie called The Black Hole, and there's been so many jokes about that movie, just because of the title of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's always more if one can be creative and be able to twist it in a way that it can be mentioned as one of those horrible nerd references. That's like one of those nerdgasms that they go about.
Maybe you can reference Pizza the Hut from what's the star the other movie?
Spaceballs?
Yeah, Spaceballs, yeah.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dark Helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like about like different foods and stuff that like summer foods people like think of like lighter fare and stuff, but like for me like summer foods are like stuff that's cold to like eat and drink. It was a big thing actually the
Well, my
other night.
mind went way different.
My partner was like, "Oh, like how about ramen?" And I was like, "No, I can't have like a hot liquid inside of me during this heat right now." And then he was like, "Okay, so you want cold foods?" I'm like, "No, just like hot soups are like too much for me." Yeah, I didn't have any jokes about it, but I definitely want to write more about like temperature controlling, like via like what you're eating and wearing.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Does anyone
it
have
might sound like a random thing, but you're just talking about soups. And as a kid, I used to joke that I loved to order Vichyssoise because it made me sound smart.
Jen, Bob, do you have anything? No? Okay.
I did, and then I lost it.
Okay. That's okay.
Write
Who
it
wants to
down.
go next?
I'll go next.
All right. Oh, it was your subject?
It was checks, as in like personal checks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
This before I get into it, it was almost cathartic because I wound up writing stuff and then I wound up like going down a hole that I haven't gone down like in a long time since I was like, it was the 90s.
Oh, I see. All right. Let me know when you're ready to
I
start.
wrote it, but I've never said it out loud, so it's gonna be like me reading it to you as I'm like reading it, going, "I wrote that." So, alrighty. I'm gonna take a swig of beer and then I'll be ready.
Okay.
I think I may have been like the last generation that took a class in high school on how to balance the checkbook, because like nowadays that information is about as relevant as like my calculus and sewing classes. In a weird way, I kind of miss checks because I'm a masochist. Like a personalized check made money almost feel real. Like when I was younger, if you wanted money, you had to go to the bank and actually withdraw it, and what you had was what you had. Like there was no bank cards. Like we're going back when I was like just starting to work. And it was a crime against humanity to get paid like after 5 p.m. on a Friday because like banks were closed on Saturday. So like you had no access to money. Like the memories I have waiting for a boss to show up to work so they can release the checks. Like there was no such thing as direct deposit back then. And those memories, they are to be cherished. Like chlamydia or the wedding photos from my second book. Like this, I hate to say it, but you could like run scams with checks, which were like a lifesaver for a once upon a time low down drug abusing party animal that I was in my 20s. And I knew a guy that worked for a bank that could cash anything without a trace. So like between return to the sender GST checks left out on the table of like a communal mailbox apartment or cooking the books at a few gas stations to running the odd scam with corporate checks, you know, because every once in a while you have a buddy that says, dude, I got a lot in XYZ. Like I must have cashed in at least $40,000 between like 1995 and 1997. Like, don't get me wrong, I never physically stole anything. I only did white collar crime because, you know, like, guys got to pay for college and rent, and child support. And wait, yes, I did steal something one time because like an old lady that lived down from me in an apartment died like months, like 6 months ago. And like later on the bank sent like checks to her place and the new residents had like a return to the sender thing. So I discovered that, yeah, there's a huge scam on checks back in the day. Like there's the Kmart Zellers scam that we used to take because they never took ID, like in the 90s. And if you're clean and like over 30-ish, and so you needed a friend back then with like a very low moral compass and in need of a quick buck, you'd like go buy like a nice VCR, because this is like before DVDs. I'm going old school on you guys. Like I'm going old school. Whoever's listening back to when like DVDs would like go around like $250, like VCRs. Like the next day you'd return it because your wife had like the same idea and bought one at Canadian Tire, and you get the cash back in return. You know, we're talking like good times. There was the 90s. It was all good. There's a statute of limitations. I can talk about this stuff. Like I could have been the reason why Zellers went out of business, like at the Tilica Mall in Victoria. I ran so many scams. There was a lot of money if you knew how to hustle. But there was also something in the air, like mid to late 90s type of thing. And I decided to like move to Ontario because, Lady Luck can only run so far. And it was also like time for a reset moment, because like now check scam and gig kind of fell into my lap because I was of that like weak mindset, but smart enough to know how to do it right, or so I thought. Because after a year, when I returned, almost everybody I knew on that side of my being had like either gone to jail or had like skipped town. And I thought I should probably get a job that pays pay some tax and pay cash for everything, because I know how checks work. I don't know what my time is, but I could tell you about my final check scam that I ever did.
Sure, you still got time. You got like 30 seconds.
Alrighty. I went to college during the 90s and got a couple of degrees on a full ride with both scholarships and grants. And to be able to maximize them, you have to be able to fully enroll in various courses. I took the courses that I did need in full and took feminist studies, which I didn't need, and also paid for the books, etc. Now, you don't get the money back for not attending the course. You just don't attend the course. However, you buy the books brand new and you get the money back. And how do they give you they give you the money back in cash? But how did I get my grants? Checks. That's my time.
That's good. Thank you.
Woo!
So I wrote a few things. First of all, what the hell is a checkbook? And what is balancing a checkbook? I don't understand. I feel like you could explain that to me, because to me a checkbook is just like the thing with all the checks in it and they're numbered. So anyways,
yeah, but checks came out before bank cards came out. So when you wrote a check, you at the very back of your checkbook, there's always like a little ledger that has like an in and out.
Okay.
So back in the day, before you ever had a bank machine, you had to keep track of it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
It was real. I've never written my checks before, so that was quite literally cathartic, because everything that I wrote, nothing of that came from an actual set that I've ever done.
Yeah.
That was all stuff.
It's all stuff that you can use, I feel like. It's very interesting. And then you said like you didn't have direct deposit, so you had to wait for the boss. And I thought like you could say like, and then the boss would just directly deposit the check into my hands. And then you take it to the bank. Also, I thought it was really cute that you and your wife both did the check scam. You sound like real pieces of work, the both of you.
I had what I call my decade of decadence.
That's okay. Everyone's got
married and divorced twice before the age of 30. I was a piece of work.
Yeah. Wow.
Until about 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a fun guy to be around. However,
I mean, you're still a fun guy to be around.
I was a better date than a mate, I'll tell you that.
And then here I wrote, I love that you laughed at the fact that you took feminist studies, and I feel like you could roast feminist studies more if you want to laugh at it. Like, just like go into it, you know?
No, the reason why I laughed, and it's almost an instinctual thing, is because I've made so many jokes that
really?
that are all about the fact that I was born and raised with a very prominent, profoundly intelligent, single liberal mother during the 70s and into the 80s.
Yeah, I see.
So whenever I've done any of those jokes, everything's kind of set up as the fact that, like, I was raised about it in as much of a Benetton commercial as what you can possibly imagine, type of thing. Like, I was raised as multicultural, as open to everything, like way before it was ever quote unquote on Vogue or something like that. It was just the people that my mother dealt with.
Yeah, I see.
She dealt with various people in various ministries for British Columbia. Then she went off to the university, which is all the professors and everything else. So I was raised with everybody, so it was all just whatever. So whenever I make any type of jokes, whenever I've had at least time to set up, it's the reason why I giggle in my own head, because I know where it's coming from. So whenever I set any type of jokes, like everybody, I've always set up everything to know exactly where everybody, so people know who I am. If I
I see. Yeah. Did anyone else have anything? Steven, maybe?
Yeah. I think if you can make a joke about how, like, hopefully you can meet a girl these days who's a Bitcoin scammer, something along those lines, or something like make like a Venmo or like a Square Cash joke. Just kind of like maybe your kids, like, you know, I'm putting him in a Bitcoin group. Hopefully he'll meet the girl of his dreams. Yeah, something like along those lines. Yeah.
No, I've been legit for over 15 years. I'm just looking for a nice sugar mama.
All right. What about you, Jen Bob? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say that back when you first started working, I bet Fred Flintstone was your supervisor, and you had to slide down a brontosaurus neck in order to get your paycheck.
I graduated high school in 1990, so technically, this, if not for COVID, technically this would be like the 30th reading.
That was so rude, young lady.
It's really cool though. I don't know how old anybody else is that providing that you stay active and everything else, I'm still the exact same person as what I was when I'm 35.
Yeah.
I just like cracking old people jokes.
Because around 35 is when I started feeling all the aches and pains, all the fun I had when I was younger. And they're all just still there. I just notice them a whole lot more. So there's really no difference, except for every year you kind of go, oh yeah, I remember how much fun I had when I was 20. I'm starting to feel that now. Oh shit. Oh yeah. That's that jump I did off that bridge when I was 26. Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So up here, still the same thing. But yeah, the knees aren't as solid. But that's
Morgan, did you have anything?
Yeah. I mean, I think y'all kind of talked about like meeting someone who also like runs scams, but no one said it. But you found your partner in crime. Yeah, I'm like, no one said it, and it felt so obvious to me. I liked when you like briefly like mentioned like chlamydia, but I was like, you know, like a boomer, I like thought on it would be like checks are like STDs or just scam.
I do have a chlamydia joke because this is Vancouver Island, and being single on Vancouver Island, you have to really watch out for chlamydia, because chlamydia is just like weed. Either you have it or one of your friends do.
Okay.
Goodness. And then the other thing I thought of, like you had like talked about like balancing your checkbook and like you have to like write the little memo for like what the different like purchase was. But I was thinking like nowadays how if you had checkbooks, you'd be like drunk writing in the memos from like different bars or like clubs that didn't make sense in the morning, and it'd be kind of like like a hangover thing, trying to figure out what you actually did the night before through it, or like being drunk on Amazon and just buying shit, like, and look at your balance, like these random companies make no sense, but like shit just shows up at your door.
I love the memo thing because that's awesome because that's almost like you're getting a reply to your drunk tweets like 3 weeks later because back in the day it was all snail mail. Because you have to remember, no such thing as internet, no such thing as email.
Yeah.
Because graduating in 1990, it was like I am the generation that literally went from we're doing it the way that they've been doing it since the 50s to suddenly, boom, like from 1995 on type of thing. It's kind of like, okay, different life altogether. It's almost like somebody flicked the switch. So
like in your memo, you write like $200 on the Ritz, and you think like, did I stay at a hotel? Was I that like fucked up the night before? And then like a month later, you get like your bank statement, but you spent like $200 on like Ritz crackers at the convenience store. And like that explains why there's so many weird cracker smells coming from like backseat of your car.
Oh, when you said the memo thing, my brain kind of went to trying to read your drunken writing as to what it's supposed to be type of thing. Because like, I don't know about you, but whenever I've made some of my most stupid purchases, like late night, like I shouldn't be online. And if I had that option to be able to physically have to, like, there's no such thing as like doing Insta banking and you still have to do it like on check. Now you have to have like this drunken memo of like, oh, this is what I wrote. And like 3 weeks later after snail mail, you get it back and like, is that a different language? I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're like drunk downtown, like you're drunk when you think when like you're like in Chinatown and like you can't figure out why you can't read it, but like you're super drunk when you think you can read it. Like that's how your memos are.
Well,
Like
I
you have
lived
to
in
get drunk
Chinatown
again
for
to read them.
I lived in Chinatown for over a year here in Victoria, and we have like literally the second largest Chinatown on the West Coast, next to the one that's in San Francisco. We have the big gates and everything else. And I was living there for just over a year. And it was awesome because all the stores I went to, everything was always like I was drunk because it's all old school. And like they knew my face well enough that it was all kind of like that. Yeah, sure, yeah, thank you. Wow, there was no actual words. It was kind of like drunkenese is what we used to joke about it being. Because it didn't matter what state I was in, they knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly where to go. No words ever spoken. It was kind of like that perfect drunken type of.
Like ESP.
And they didn't speak English anyways, so it was perfect that our communication was like just set.
Yeah. All right. So if no one else has anything to add, we're gonna move on to Jen Bob's topic.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm starting the timer.
What is the topic, by the way?
Cigarettes. Cigarettes is my topic.
All right.
There you go.
You can smoke for me because I actually just quit smoking again. It's been a full day since I've had one.
I quit smoking every day I stop.
Right. Honestly, I feel better, but at the same time, have you ever had to deal with someone who made you thankful that smokes are cheaper than bail? Remember when smoking was legal in cars and seatbelts were optional? You know, back in the day when the dinosaurs that express opinions consistently because they lived long enough to survive Halley's Comet were growing up. You know, I'm starting to think that as the boomers got older, society as a whole was like, whoops, Maybe drinking and smoking while pregnant and then letting the product of that bounce around unsecured in the back of a sedan while their parents chain smoked might not have been the best idea. By the time they realized this and acted on it, a couple of generations got a little messed up, with each generation progressively getting worse. You know, remember when adults could write a note and send their child to the store for smokes? You know, before they outlawed using your children as human pinballs while you drove, you had more obedient children because they're being slowed down by all the secondhand smoke. And it used to be legal to beat your kids. So what brain cells they had left didn't have too much room to run amok. No, nowadays you can't send your kid to the store for smokes because you try to do that now. If they don't get abducted either going there or coming back, you'll be lucky if someone doesn't call Child Protective Services on you. The one thing I'm going to miss about smoking cigarettes is heading outside for one, and there's always that one old white guy that says, you know, those things will kill you. To which I like to respond with, you know, 100% of non-smokers die too, right? That's all I have on that.
All right.
It took a little bit longer the first time.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I'm just busy writing on the stuff that that I heard you say. So I would have
Still
laughed.
have 2 minutes. Yeah, I really like your vibe. I like that you took it a whole different direction than I thought that you would. Like when I think of cigarettes, I think of like addiction and like trying to quit and how ridiculous smokers are. They're like they need a cigarette to stay calm. But then not smoking makes them like nervous. It's sort of like a vicious cycle. I don't know, but I really like it where you took it of like, it was relatable. Yeah, it was relatable.
Yeah.
I have to say that right off the get-go, you made a joke which I had to write like is gold in like big letters, which is that smokes are cheaper than bail.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
That was
oh,
good.
that is just that simple. That is just such a beautifully simple expression, and it is stuff you can like now go boom, 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 and you can set examples because of such. But it is such a beautiful setup, and it's also a standalone statement. Like you can say that after you've talked about smokes, you can talk about before. Type of it's just a beautiful standalone statement. Then I wrote down, and this is actually true. The last generation, mine, the Gen X, the ones that we were able to be sent for smokes and things along that line. We also happen to have the longest expectant life expectancy. So that's kind of weird. Like, mind you, we're also considered to be like the most active generation and everything else, like per capita and stuff like that. So I just think that there's some sort of like a oxymoronic type of twist in there. Damn right.
Someone said old white guys more likely to kill you than smoking.
Damn right.
This is good. Good stuff.
And then I also have that I started writing down because you said something that clicked this in my head that I wrote down there's two different types of smokers. Because really, and being a smoker, I've noticed this really prevalent. There's not many normal kind of people, smokers, I guess you could say. Like there's no just average people. Like if you take a look at the vast majority of smokers, they either fall into two categories. They're either like big and lazy and slothful, or they're super active. Like they're into sports, or else they do construction for a living, and on the weekends they're off in their boats and they're doing like. There's not too many just everyday smokers. Like out of the majority of the smokers, they're broken into two categories: either big and slothful, or else they're really active. And when you're talking about it, I was thinking there's got to be some sort of just play off the differences. So.
All right.
Yeah, I liked how you were talking mostly about like the good old days of cigarettes and how great it was. I think you could definitely like build more into like what it was like to be like the child of a cigarette smoker, like you know, instead of like your parents necessarily being out like late at night and like not at home, you had like alone time to do bad shit like every 10 minutes when they'd have to like step outside. And it was like, if like your parents tried to put you in a timeout or something, or like tried to ground you, like if you had messed up or been a bad kid for like a second, they caught you, you could just like mention cigarettes and like they'd have to get out of the house again and then like forget about the conversation you had.
This just popped in my head because it's a thought that I've had before, but I've never done anything with. It's about cigarettes and the fact that if you're watching all the movies, they were normalized and glamorized, and like the heroes smoked them and stuff like that, all the way up until about the 70s. Then in the 70s, like just everybody smoked them. It didn't matter if it was good or bad, type of thing. In the 80s, until like in the 80s and the 90s, the only people that really smoked cigarettes were like the bad boys, type of thing. And ever since like the 2000s, only the bad guys smoke cigarettes. You rarely ever see anybody that you actually like in a show smoking a cigarette, unless they're like the villain type of thing.
I just thought of something too. So you know how Disney has the 2-finger salute? That's because Walt Disney used to smoke, and they actually edited out all the cigarettes and pictures of him. So it's the 2-finger salute when you point, because he was usually pointing with a cigarette.
Well, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole last year and came across a Brady Bunch episode. So we're talking like from what, 1970 or 71? And Greg was caught smoking. And they were talking about all like how shitty it was, and this is what you can get, blah, 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 blah. Like 50 years ago. So really, if you haven't learned by now,
Yeah.
another one.
I'm inspired to go smoke some cigarettes now.
Let's
Yay!
also smoke.
Yeah, like it was like a TED talk about like cigarettes.
Coincidentally, I grew up with a mother
Yeah.
for the Ministry of Health who also went on to be the Director for Health and Information Science for over 20 years at UVic.
Yeah. Were you gonna add something, Steven?
No, I mean like I just
You
want to go
just-
smoke a cigarette now.
wanna
Like
go
you know,
smoke
like
a
I'm gonna like I'm getting ready for your marketing campaign. Like going against like you like start making fun of like these like vapes. Like you start really like bashing them hard.
Douche flutes?
Douche flutes.
I don't
Yeah,
know
there's
what
like cigarette commercial where they're like, it's like a momentary like shot of like the glamorous life of cigarettes, and then the rest of it is like what a shithole like being addicted to meth and stuff is. Like there's things way worse out there for you.
Someone said I just pounded a pack of Cam. And then earlier, Chase said they blame Joe Camel for kids wanting to smoke, but never the parents blowing 2 packs a day in their kids' face.
Do you know what I think probably started me smoking when I was younger? Is the fact that everybody that I knew that I admired, like all the active people, everybody that I knew that played sports, everybody that I knew that went out for the barbecues and did the boat, they were all smokers.
Yeah.
The people that did nothing were all non-smokers.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, all the non-smokers in my family, up until my mother, have all died of cancer, like by around the age of like 75 or stuff like that. The smokers, well, my great-grandmother died in the 80s, back when like they had crappy healthcare and shit like that. She died in the 80s at 101. And a year later, her older twin sisters died a week apart from each other at 104. Smokers.
Wow. Yeah.
I know
Maybe
it means
that's the
absolutely nothing
secret.
because it's 100%
You're
genetic
supposed
and
to
everybody
smoke.
has the marker and it either triggers or else it doesn't. And when you smoke, you give you much greater chance of having the marker triggered.
That's
So,
true.
I know the odds, and I also know I'm an idiot. So
Do okay, so everybody went for their topic. Yes. So we're gonna move on to our own private material. I don't know why I said
Our
private.
private material.
Ooh, private, eh?
Victoria Blair.
It's one of those kind of shows.
It's one of those shows. So if it's okay, we're just gonna keep the same sort of lineups. It's gonna be me, Steve, Morgan, John, and then Jen Bob. Am I saying that right, Jen Bob?
There's my thumb.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you
Perfect.
can pronounce it any like you can. I guess how Jin Bob. No,
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm like, wait, no.
Jean
Yeah.
Bob.
I like that one better actually. I'm
Yeah.
going by that now.
It's with my Quebec accent.
Say your name with your Quebec accent.
Well, my name?
Yeah.
Victoria. Okay. All right.
Canada.
What?
No, the thing I love about the French accent is it always has like a miniature staccato between syllables.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
type of thing. And then when you go from one phrase to the next, it slurs literally. So it's more lyrical. Like
Yeah.
English is much more broken. It's one
Yeah,
of the
English. It
in
has
Canada, we
what's
also
called
have-
like a free accent, which is always on the same syllable of the same word, which is distinctive. Whereas in French, it's more like it has to do with how the sentence is. It doesn't matter where the accent. All right, I'm gonna do my material. It's a little blue. I hope you guys don't mind blue stuff. So I recently turned 30, and
Young.
that means that I changed age bracket. So all of my ads changed on Facebook. Now I get wish ads for something called the De-Wrinkler 3000. And I get suggestions for makeup tutorials like 10 reasons why your eyes look old. And it really makes me wonder if Facebook can see me through my camera. And if Facebook can see me through my camera, is Mark Zuckerberg the one sending me all those labiaplasty ads? You know? For those who don't know what labiaplasty is for when you're tired of your pussy looking like it belongs to someone who only wears jogging pants to a Netflix marathon. Labiaplasty is for when your pussy looks like a sad immigrant after a hard day's work. Labiaplasty is for when your pussy has a look. It has a look like it has that not so fresh smell, even though it's totally fresh because you've been putting Tic Tacs up there all day, so it's minty fresh. It's perfect. Anyways, if that's what your pussy looks like and it makes you unhappy, you go to a doctor, you give him like $10,000, and he just cuts your lips, you know? And voila, you got yourself a nice designer pussy. And it might seem a little extreme, but if you don't do that, do you care about fashion? I mean, do you expect to find yourself in a loving relationship just like that? You know? Have some self-respect, you slut. And I don't want you guys to think I'm just joking about my ugly, stinky pussy. I mean, it's ugly, but it is fresh from all the mint. All right? Minty fresh. A lot of my friends have been getting pregnant lately on purpose, I guess. So the phrase, "don't worry, I'll drive you to the clinic," is not appropriate anymore. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a good friend. I'm supposed not to tell you you're making the worst mistake of your life? Like, go get an abortion. They're legal, they're free. Follow your dreams. And to be honest, I think having babies is selfish. Babies are bad for the environment. I care about the environment, okay? I don't have babies. I swallow for the earth. My boyfriend's a huge environmentalist. In my home, we recycle, we compost, we swallow. Yeah, I like being in my 30s though, because in your 30s, I feel like you know yourself better. Like, I know that I don't give a shit about CrossFit or making my own kombucha, you know? I have no interest in swing dancing. But like when I was younger, I would think about these things and thought like, oh, maybe that's me. Like I remember at some point in high school, I wanted to be a nun. You know, I don't know if you guys ever thought about being a nun. I was waiting for the call from God. Like God gives you a call. It's like a sign that you should be a nun and you have to pay attention for that sign. And I never got it. I guess I was just too busy writing like Dumbledore, Harry Potter, erotic fan fiction one-handed. And like God was probably like, yikes, she's busy. I'll ask someone else. Like I don't want to bother you. You know. But I would have been a really good nun. I've been practicing a speed run of my rosary. I can finish it in 10 minutes. You know? I would pray so fast in the morning if I was a nun. It would take me like 10 minutes to finish my rosary, and then I would be able to go to the park and play with all the other nuns. You know, first one on the swings. First one on the swings, first one to heaven. You know. And I would be so chaste as a nun as well. I would be so chaste the Islamic State would be like, take it down a notch, you're chomping our flavor. You know. That's it for me. That's my time.
Yeah. I mean, right off the bat, the Derinkler 3000, like, I want to know what it does, what it looks like. Is it cutting off stuff? Does it shrink stuff? Like, I almost want, like, an infomercial for it. Because I could... Just the Derinkler 3000, I think that name is so funny. Like, I'm, like, ready to buy it. I liked when you were like you need a labiaplasty. Like, do you even care about fashion? It's kind of like if your nose is too big, you need like a rhinoplasty. Otherwise, you can't wear like designer like fake glasses. And then the whole like atheist thing was what I was like more so thinking when you started talking about like religion and like masturbation. Like I have to be an atheist. Like I couldn't be a nun because I was so busy masturbating. Like I couldn't answer the door when God knocked.
That's yeah.
I like that.
And then I just had a question. Are labiaplasties really only $10,000? Because I feel like that's cheap.
I made it up.
Okay.
I have a bit there where I say like, oh, I don't have $10,000 to blow on genital mutilation, but I forgot to say it. But like, yeah, you think it's cheap? 10,000? They just cut it up. I mean,
I mean, like it's a major medical procedure and it's cosmetic. I would think it'd be super expensive. Like I don't know how much any of that stuff costs, I guess, but genital mutilation, I mean, if you want to get real blue, real dark, it could be like, I don't have $10,000, but I do have like whatever it costs, like the 12,000 to like get a round trip to Africa.
oh yeah.
Would be cheaper to do. Or like, you know, if I don't know, like whatever the prices are, like have like bracket pricing for like how good of a labiaplasty it is, or like how tight can they make your lips. I think that would be good. Like what kind of package, or like if we went, could we get like a group deal? Like, because I care about fashion, so I'm just trying to get in on this.
Okay. Yeah.
Alrighty, who's next? I'll go next.
Yes.
No, like when it comes to talking about what you just said.
Yeah.
I took notes. Right off the get-go, you're talking about turning 30 and you're getting all these things. And then I just made a comment that a new decade just sounds way older, like 30
Yeah.
type of thing. It's just so, it just sounds way older than 28, 29. And then I wrote down Zuckerberg is a freak. So you must have said something. You said some sort of joke about Facebook and everything else. I just wrote down he's a freak. Then I wrote down your 1, 2, 3 about what the surgery you're talking about. I wrote it down, but I can't read my own writing because I know
Labiaplasty?
labiaplasty. Okay, I got the plasty right, but I wrote the end. I wrote the beginning wrong. I can tell you that for a fact. And then you're talking about like your vagina being minty fresh because of the Tic Tacs. But then I wrote down Tic Tacs ... because you only use mint flavored condoms.
Oh.
Like instead of the Tic Tacs, just do something that would kind of be a little bit unexpected. And then because of the fact this is Canada, and this is one of those things that I know about because another friend has kind of a similar type of joke. The male female like new vaginas. If you fully identify as a woman, that's one of the things medical will pay for. It's obviously not a necessity when it comes to like in the line of things to be done. But if you're willing to wait, you will get yourself a new vagina. And I'm thinking, well, if you're wanting one and not want to pay for it, identify as a woman. And if they say no, then now that's sexist.
But then I would have to be born with a penis, though.
No, as it's all written, if you identify as a woman.
Oh, I see.
So as a woman, identify
There's like
as
a
a woman.
loophole.
And if they try to say no, then go after them as being sexist.
I love the idea of like Canadian incels being like, really need that pussy, man. Like, filled out the form to get one because like they think like the government should provide that.
Oh, Canadian incels are pathetically polite. You were also talking. You said something about. You said some type of just funny oral comment about like your family upbringing or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the joke was, but it had something to do with the environment. And then I wrote down swallowing is environmentally friendly. Yeah, you're talking about the kids. Yeah, your families. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote down nuns get none.
I like that.
And then, although you have been practicing celibacy, ... every few weeks.
Practicing
Celibacy like once a month.
Yeah, every few weeks.
Yeah, like it's practice, you know.
I like to say I'm a born again virgin every Thursday.
Yeah. That's good. Steven, do you have anything?
Yeah, that line, the sad immigrant after a long day's work. You can just kind of like expand on that even like they're still able to complain to their kids about not getting good grades or something along those lines.
You know, like I think about that line because I'm like, is it offensive? On the one hand, I'm like, is it offensive? But on the other hand, I'm like, it would be so funny to just, because I'm in Montreal, there's like a lot of immigrant kids there, like second generation, to just be like, you're laughing at that, but you're the one who wants to put his dick in the fucking immigrant's face. What's wrong with you? But I can never find the right wording for it.
Yeah, I think that's a great line. There's gonna be some stuff like on top of it because you were talking about like you're like listing off all those like descriptions of it, and that was strong. This also line stuck out to me: legal, free, and just follow your dreams. Sounds like a Hollywood story. Like there can be like
Okay.
So along those lines, maybe like you just write a musical or you're trying to go around Hollywood pitching this. It sounds like a script like that three little statements. Yeah.
Like a happy ending.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Okay.
Like a romantic comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. They meet at the abortion clinic. I don't know.
Yeah, something along those lines. Those are the big ones that stuck out to me. But yeah. Loving it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen, Bob, do you have anything?
I wanted to make a joke about Arby's roast beef sandwiches, but I couldn't figure out how to word it right. So.
It's okay. I know what you're talking about.
Labiplasty. I'm like, I want to say it's like almost like taking your vagina from like an Arby's roast beef sandwich and turning it into like a White Castle burger where it's more desirable.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
I got you.
Yeah, you're trying to look like the McDonald's commercial. Like, it's very cute and put together.
Someone wrote a comment that really upset me, and I just want to
Oh,
read
no.
it. Someone said the Tic Tac joke was already done by the comedian Martin Lawrence. Do you guys know about this?
No.
done so much stuff that I would never know.
Who is Martin Lawrence, though?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Yeah, Bad
Yeah,
Boys.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stand-up. I haven't heard the Tic Tac bit, but yeah.
I mean, you could say you use like mouthwash, and like at first it like burned too much,
If
and
anything,
like because it was so minty, but it's fine. Because your boyfriend uses it to brush his teeth every morning and wake you up.
A, I
Yeah.
really love that idea that Morgan just said. And B, whoever said the Tic Tac thing and Martin Lawrence, if anything, he hasn't done comedy in so long, and he's done so much stuff, and there's so many comedians that all
Yeah.
there's a good chance.
But maybe like I heard it when I was a kid and it got into my head and it just like I don't want to steal anyone's jokes.
I think it's one of those ideas that it's a synonymous type of thing if one's going to go there.
Yeah.
So like a million people have done it, not just Martin Lawrence, and it all depends on how you say it, and just it's your idea, and it's coming from a place that came from your mind. Henceforth, you're not saying what somebody else is saying, because every subject matter basically has always been done, and it's just it's always a matter of just you're the one saying it.
Yeah.
Which is why the joke works.
It's true. Yeah. I guess there's very few like original.
Because everybody talks about every subject.
Yeah.
People talk about current events. People talk about religion. People talk about blah blah. No matter what you talk about, people are talking about it, and it's just a matter of just knowing that you're not repeating somebody else because it's something that popped in your head and you wrote it.
Yeah, I guess I should really make my due diligence.
As silly as it sounds, I've been writing for years, and the one thing I do if I have a joke that's like top, holy cow, that is so good, kind of in my head, I immediately think, holy crap, I've got to Google exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Because you're like I don't know where that came from.
My first thought is, did I hear that in one of the millions of routines that I've seen online? Is that a joke that's already there, type of thing? And if what I thought of, a lot of the times you kind of find the subject matter has been done by a million people, but what you thought of is not what they've thought of. And somebody may have written it down, something like that, like you've never heard of that person, and they're just a whoever type of thing. And what you thought of is, it may be the same idea, but it's your perspective of the idea, and it's all good. But like I said, every once in a while you kind of come across one. It's like literally word for word, and it's somebody you've heard of, and you're going, I bet you in my subconscious popped out that Tim Minchin bit or whatever type of thing, because I was thinking about all this and I thought it was my idea, but no, it's something that my brain goes, nope, we're bringing it forward. And then every once in a while you kind of go, I can't find hide nor hair of anything at all to do with this subject matter.
Yeah. No, I understand. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna look into it. I'm gonna keep in mind what you said. Let's move on to, because we're gonna run out of time let's move on to
I think it's
Steve.
Steve,
Cool.
Steve Morgan. Yeah.
Thank
Steven,
you.
sorry, Steven.
Thank you. All right.
All right, let's
We'll
go.
go. Yeah.
Dazzle us.
I'm really pumped right now because in about 15 or 20 years when I have my kids, they're gonna come home from school so excited with their history project, and it's gonna be like the title. It's gonna be like what caused the pandemic of 2020, and I'm gonna be able to proudly be able to answer to them, Carol fucking Baskin.
Carol fucking Baskin.
I get bageled a lot. It's when people come up to you because you vaguely look like a Zuckerberg brother, like the one that got the family's pretty disappointed in, like the one that decided instead of making a social media company, made a CBD company, like the one that and it's kind of disappointing because people come up to you that you look like a stoner Mark Zuckerberg, but that means you're just calling a CEO on his day off. Getting up at 10 a.m., struggling to get out of bed. That's what they're calling me. Let's see. I got told I have the smoldering sexuality of a young Bernie Sanders, but somehow I have more stains on my shirt. Let's see. I come from a Jewish household, sitcom Jewish, the type of Jewish that takes an expired IHOP coupon and goes to Denny's. The type of family that has multiple photos at the local Denny's warning the staff to be prepared that their meal will have to be remade. I'm on top 10 watch list. Let's see. I was going through my my parents. I was on my parents' computer, and I was just Googling something B, and all of a sudden, on the Bing results, it popped up for an actress born in 1957, then boobs, and I realized that my dad is just finding out about porn. He's looking up porn how a sixth grader would look up porn, actress and then boobs. And I'm just excited for him because he's just kind of figuring out about that whole world. He's been on a Playboy diet for the last 30 years. So he's got 30 more years to find out about the problems at the internet, why people love it a little too much. Let's see. I come from a really rich town, the type of town where kids, teenagers, have two types of cars, Audis and used Audis. A lot of people have white privilege. I know a girl that has so much white privilege that she was able to move houses because her old house was haunted. And I'm very excited that Kid Rock has volunteered to be one of the first musicians to do a socially distanced concert. It's kind of cool because it kills two birds with one stone, a concert and a Trump rally all at the same time. All right, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you.
I'd be clapping, but I'm just writing. I loved it, by the way. That's the reason why I'm writing.
Oh, yeah, I wrote here that I really like when you said that the white girl had so much white privilege that she could move house because it was haunted. And I feel like you could really expand on that because in horror movies, I feel like when you're a kid, you're always why don't they just leave the house? Why don't they move? But me watching a horror movie as an adult now, I'm they got a mortgage to pay. They haven't even unloaded those boxes yet. They're not gonna go anywhere. This is their house, you know? They got responsibilities. Yeah. That's all I have. Your thing flowed really well. It was good.
Thank you.
I wrote down. I always take notes. I wrote down the 2020 history idea is hysterical, especially if you take it like just apocalyptical type of thing. Like they'll be studying, like the Chinese economy, remembering America, and like why there's called the radiation zone and stuff like that. Just absolutely horrible, but like saying it in like a cheerful manner type of thing.
Yeah.
Just because it's one of those bang 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 type of setups, just to kind of go as a transition to something else. And then for whatever you're talking about how you appeared, and you're talking about Zuckerberg and everything else, but I wrote down you look like Prince William on a budget.
That's pretty one.
That's good.
And then you're talking about how picky you were and everything else, and how you're on a watch list. I wrote down you're on the 10% of picky customers that only tip 10%. Like, because you're going like as tags with how you appear to be. So I think that I was kind of writing in as like just a ridiculous tag is what you could put in. So never take anything serious. These are always just like the stupid ideas that always pop in my head. It's like I'm always looking for like just little tags and just possibilities. Then you're talking about your dad had just discovered porn. And then I wrote down your dad is so old school that he still reads her likes and dislikes. And then you made a joke about moving houses because it was haunted. And then I wrote moving houses ... And I'm not talking a double wide. And then it was either your last or also your second to last joke was talking about the Kid Rock concert and the first open concert and everything else, and get rid of kill two birds with one stone. And I wrote down Trump and Kid Rock fans.
Thank you.
Because I really like the set, which is why it's going. So whenever I write stuff, my notes are literally, I'm trying to pay attention to whatever you're saying next. But I'm also just trying to kind of
get the
write it
ideas
well
down
enough I could actually read it back to you, because you have to kind of write slow enough that actually looks legible and actually read back.
Good. Does anybody else? Morgan, do you have anything?
Yeah. I really liked when you were saying like how people compare how you look to like a shit Zuckerberg or like a CEO on his day off. I almost like this a side by side comparison of like a CEO on his day off and you. How it starts like you both like wake and bake, and then you spend like the next 18 hours also on Facebook like stalking all your exes, shit like that.
Jen, Bob, did you have anything?
No, I didn't. I liked it though.
Thank you.
It's good.
I just really love the flow. You literally had joke after joke after joke after joke.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm the stuff I wrote is my quote unquote personal stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I have stuff, but I kind of expanded off a few things, and I kind of tried a few new thoughts because, that's what the space is kind of for. You do your stuff, but if you have a new idea, and if you're kind of wanting the input, throw that new idea, joke in there, and everything else, and see if it works, and see if it's offensive, like as in like the oh shit, I didn't think of that type of state.
Yeah, you really get what you put in. So
I'm
yeah,
looking forward to Morgan because she's funny.
we're gonna move on to Morgan. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's go.
Oh, Steven's not here.
Fuck
Wait,
Steven.
Steven.
I hope you hear this, Steven. You asshole. No. So
There he is.
for me, I actually have been like bleaching my hair a lot. You can see it's a lot darker. I'm Asian, and it's kind of has these blonde ends. And I'm really missing being blonde, because like me and Barbie have so much in common, you know. Something that's really controversial about her. A lot of people like to think she's the all-American girl, but she, like me, was made in China, so she's fucking Asian. Just FYI, we're both made overseas. But I also think like we do have kind of like that like American lifestyle going for us, you know. Like we both really like the white ring. If you don't know what that is, a white ring is a bleached butthole.
Oh.
You know, it's something a lot of unmarried gals get. Neither of us are married. We have that in common. So, like, you get the white ring, you try and get the diamond ring. If that doesn't work, shit gets really dark, you know? Like, guys will be like, so why did you bleach it? Like you must love anal sex. I'm like, yeah, but I also love, you know, it's better to rosebud with. Which I understandably a lot of people don't know what that is either. Rosebudding is when you don't just stick like a finger in someone's butt, you like get it all up there, guys. And then when you pull it out, the rectum falls out. Much of a rosebud, right? It's like very Disney, you know, like it's romantic. I'm just trying to be romantic. Give a guy a flower. Jesus Christ. That doesn't seem to be working though, because you know, like I said, I just have a boyfriend, so like I'm not married yet. So like the next thing would be is the second white ring, and that would just be like bleaching your vagina, which is not recommended. But you know, I give my boyfriend the gift of rosebuds. Because you know, like I'm Asian and he respects that culture, so he gives me gifts too, like going down on me, and then I give him the gift of bean residue, which that sounds like hummus, right? But it's not. It's when you go down on a girl and then all the stuff covering your face, that's bean residue, because you're like flicking her bean, you know. I'm so sorry about this. But as you can see, like I said, my hair is growing out a lot, you know. So it's like getting kind of brown. It's growing out dark, and I'm thinking about bleaching it again to like blonde, largely because I'm a really bad driver. You know, if you're a shit driver and you're like cutting people off by accident, you know, nearly causing crashes, people like turn to see who you are, and I'm like, God, I don't want them to know I'm Asian and like feed the stereotype. I'd much rather think that I'm just like some horrible white entitled girl and then like cause car accidents to like feed the statistics that white people are bad drivers. You know, just looking out for my people. And I think I like want to be blonde because I kind of I have like an aversion to having dark hair nowadays. And I think it's because like growing up, it was very, you know, like black and long, and I was goth. Like I was so goth. Like I loved everything to be black. Like I was so goth. Like my glasses were black, my clothes were black. Like even the guys I dated were white with black eyeliner. Like I was so goth when my aunt died after like a 4-year battle with breast cancer. I buried her in a purple corset because I wore one. We had to match. It was cute. But like as you can tell, I'm not like goth anymore. You know, I'm not like hard and dark. But I did go to a goth party, and it was so weird. Because it was like a regular party, so I had on like a pretty yellow dress, and everyone there is like black and skulls, and people thought I had a costume. but I didn't. I was just dressed how normal people dress now. But I say, like, you know, if the whole thing of being goth is saying, like, fuck the man, like, I'm the ultimate goth, because, like, they're all wearing black, and I said no to it. That's what I have, guys.
That was awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I wrote down here, how do you know that Barbie likes the white ring?
Because she's
No.
plastic.
I guess, yeah. Also, I wrote down that I'm learning a lot in your set. I didn't know what rosebudding was. I thought it had something to do with Citizen Kane.
What?
I haven't watched Citizen Kane, so I'm not sure like what that refers to. I think it's like maybe Steven can like explain because he's laughing a lot.
Yeah,
No,
I've
I
never
thought that
seen
too. That's what I was.
Rosebud.
What, you've watched Citizen Kane, Morgan?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
No. Well, he's probably gonna talk about it
It's
later.
one of those movies you have to see once.
Yeah. It's like the best movie of all. And then you said that even the guys I dated, and then you were like, we're white with like eyeliner. I totally thought you were gonna say we're black. I don't know if that was a misdirect on purpose.
Yep.
I wrote that down as I loving that joke. I loving that misdirect.
Yeah.
I don't have to say that now because, well, that was a great.
Because I said it. That's all I have. It was very good. And yeah, you look very embarrassed by your set, which made it even better. So that's that. Does someone else want to go? Steven?
Yeah, I wrote down that when you were talking about how you wanted to dye your hair blonde and all that, that you're more of like you're like a PR vigilante for the Asian race.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's what interests me there. And then also the whole thing about how you're talking about how like Barbie was like Chinese. I don't know how you can relate this, and I know like people use this all the time, the whole like Jesus is black thing as well. Like there's a couple of other things that I couldn't think of it in my head, but I know there's something there. Like, yeah. Those were the big two things. And of course I learned a lot. So, and Rosebud, no need to see Citizen Kane. You know.
But what is it in the movie?
It's just like that's just the ending. That's like the whole like
I always thought
thing.
there are certain movies everybody should watch, and they're perfect for a shitty weather Sunday afternoon when
Exactly.
everything is done type of thing. That's the type. That's the
Okay.
perfect time to watch classic movies type of thing. And that's just one of those movies that it's not the actual story. It's just really how it's filmed. It's the visuals because the time period that it was filmed. So obviously it's not a futuristic movie. So it's a movie that's made about a previous time from a time long ago, but they used as best of the film that they could.
Yeah.
So just visually speaking, the story itself, everybody knows the story. Well, everybody that knows anything about cinema kind of just knows the basics of the story. It's the guy's fucking sled. He's an old guy, super successful, that on his dying bed, like on his deathbed, he keeps on saying Rosebud, and everybody's trying to figure out what the fuck Rosebud is. It's a big secret. Blah 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 blah. And they discover that it's the one thing he cherished most out of all life is his childhood named Rosebud. That was what they find in the attic. Yada yada.
God damn. I definitely need to watch this movie and like talk a lot more about it.
But
that movie sounds hilarious.
It because of
Yeah,
how
it's way funnier now.
it was so much money at the time was spent to actually capture exactly what they wanted to be. And if you love history and old furniture and old buildings and old clothing and stuff like that, it's just one of those feel good type of Sunday afternoon romps just to get sucked back into time. Because the movie's from what? It's almost 100 years old now. Like it's like 90 years old. And like we're trying to capture what they looked like 90 years ago, but the movie itself is capturing what it looked like 20 years or 30 years or 40 years before that time period. And they
that's
have
cool.
the clothing. So the costumes are, yeah. I wouldn't consider myself an artist, but there's certain things that I love. But it's my turn to actually talk about Morgan's stuff. And I yapped, and I apologize for the tangent. Right off the get-go, you're talking about the fact of the Asian of Barbie coming from China, etc. And I thought there's so much to go on that, because the first thing I wrote down was Barbie is essentially a white-skinned Asian, and then I wrote down but both can't stay in the sun for too long unprotected. And then I was thinking there's got to be like various tags on that, because there are tags. There's certain tags that are 100% truthful tags that you can say that nobody can take offense to, because A, you're the one saying it, and B, they're 100% true. So like there's got to be like just a bunch of just bang 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 that people go, oh son of a bitch, just. And it's almost like G-rated comedy, but it's also 100% true type of thing. And that's really good. And then 48-year-old eyes. Yeah, you're talking about the roast, but. And I wrote down, everyone wants a clean backyard and not a dirt track. So I was just
That's
thinking,
good. That's so horrifying, but that's great. That's like dad. Like when people like talk about like dad, like jokes, like dad culture, like that's how dads describe it, you know? That's great.
I was trying to think of as quick as what I could, because your set was like quick setup and then boom joke, quick setup and then boom joke, which I loved about your set. So I could only kind of write down like more of the thought of what I was thinking about for that one thing before I went on to the next one. And then you also had this thing about not wanting to be stereotyped as an Asian driver. And then I wrote down, yell at drivers in a Latino accent.
Yeah.
Because really, if you were speaking and if he had not brought up your Asian descent, you're like The Rock. Like nobody really, if you see The Rock, and if you don't know anything about, if you're like completely naive about everything, you've lived on an Amish community with no electricity, no nothing, and you're saying, and somebody says, what nationality is he? You look at The Rock and he's like, type of thing. Because The Rock is one of those people that looks like what I think the future thinks most. If you remember seeing all those sci-fi things in the 70s, and it's probably accurate, it's what most people will look like in a few hundred years type of thing, because people will continue to breed and everything. Well, he's kind of one of those, I don't know what he is. He's a guy type of thing. And until you actually made comment about your Asian descent, you literally have this, you can go Latino or else Asian or else you can go Caucasian, that was like around the Ukrainian-ish area type of thing, because you could pass for one of my cousins type of thing, because I've got strong Ukrainian heritage, which is also the round face, and it's also the very distinct features. And like I'm being animated right now, but in all honesty, my resting face is more of a relaxed eye. Yeah. So like you can literally go for any of my cousins from my grandfather's side of the family.
For some reason, someone said Bluebell tastes just like the good old days, and I think that was for Steven's thing. And then they really wanted me to say it. They said, will somebody just say my thing? I'll Venmo you $5. I'm really sorry that I passed through that comment.
But you said it, so now they have to pay you.
Did you, does anybody have anything else to say about Morgan's set? No? All right, let's move on to, I think it was John.
I think I'm next, yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. I'm putting on the timer.
Okay. Like, I'm not sure what I ate last night agreed with me all that much, but to be fair, she was a conservative.
Oh God.
Like, did you know that nowadays they actually sell Coke in cans and it comes without rum? Like, I don't recommend it. However, and like recently, and I love the fact that this is 100% true. Recently, I discovered that I am like in shirts, I'm a 17-inch men's large, and like my pants are 32, 34. And when ordering Chinese food, I'm a combo dinner for two. And I'd like to know, when did I grow up and start calling my schlong a penis? Like cock, that's not a bad word. Like, it sounds bad because it's like a sharp, hard sound, the same way that moist sounds bad because of its connotation, and it's like mental association. However, like cock out loud, if you say it out loud, like cock sounds violent, like cocking a gun. Like, no wonder so many people think and like refer to guns as like phallic symbols. Like, you strike oil into them, you make sure they're well lubed before you cock it back and you discharge. Like, I'm not anti-gun, but I'm thinking I want to touch myself right now. Like, however, I also stopped watching porn though. Like, talking about touching myself, I stopped watching porn a while ago when I discovered that I was like all but caught up. Like, you know, you've watched enough porn when you start watching vintage because you're kind of interested in the origin story. Like, I'm 48 now. When I see porn, the first thing that comes to my mind is, boy, that bed looks comfortable. Like,
Yes.
nowadays, like a lot of people actually, a lot of people say that masturbation is fun. I'm 48. I'm calling it today's greatest achievement. Like, I'm actually of the age where I had to take the full physical, you know, the full bend over physical type of thing. And the one thing I was not at all expecting was for my doctor telling me that I was sick. Especially when all I did was like ask for a second finger during the prostate exam. Don't get me wrong, he was cool and shit. Gave me his number after. He makes a hell of a cappuccino. He also informed me that regular masturbation amongst men helps to reduce the rate of colon cancer. And I was thinking, like, we need an excuse. Like, for this, I'm a child savant. Like, when I was about, like, yay high, I accidentally walked into my mom's ex, like, tugging one out. And, like, we made eye contact, so it was rather uncomfortable for a moment. However, he told me not to worry. After all, it's natural. Besides, I'd be doing the same thing in it soon enough. His arm was getting tired.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I guess I might be a bit of a broken guy because, like, I was married and divorced twice before the age of 30. Like, the first one, we were so young that, well, we were young and in love, and she was pregnant. And the second one, am I the only one here that's ever sobered up after a year to discover you married an escort that you used to party with? Just me. Okay. Yeah. Being married that young taught me that with the first one, you cannot not unsleep with her best friend. Like, no matter how hard you try. And the second one taught me that she can't unfuck half of Vancouver. I wish that wasn't true. However, being married did teach me that that I have never been into period sex. period sex. I've always sucked at accents. And those costumes, I can't afford them.
Oh my god.
Are bloody expensive. And that's going to be my time.
It took a weird
That was
turn.
good. I really like the period sex. It's a good like closer. Because it takes a while to think about it too. I wrote down that a cock, the word cock, it just sounds very sexual. So like you would only say it when there's a cock near, or if you're holding it in your hand. Also, I really like the you said that's you wanted to see the origin stories. That's why you were watching vintage porn. And like maybe you could make like a parallel between like porn and like the Marvel movies or something. Like you don't want to watch the remake, you want to watch the original. And like I'm not really good at this, but you could look up the titles and maybe like put porn names in there, you know.
I've watched vintage porn and it's like, oh shit, we used to have that end table. Like,
Mm.
So that's all I have for feedback.
Mm. I like.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, kind of piggybacking off of what Victoria said about like if you like know the names of like classic porns and stuff, to be like Two Girls One Cup, like it's so derivative. And then I liked what you were saying about like you get like so old that when you watch porn you're just like, man, that bed's comfortable. But it's also like how you shop for furniture now, like the casting couch, like that couch is fucking durable. Like you're trying to find that on Amazon. And like it's not because you're a freak, it's because like it's a super good couch, clearly.
I like that
I was
lineup.
waiting for someone to make a casting couch joke.
It's Steven, do you have anything?
Yeah, I had one. So when you're at the doctor and you did like the 2-finger thing, that was great. I was big into that. He even got angry at me because I brought my own playlist. Yeah, so I thought you add that one onto it. Yeah, that was the big tag. I was really trying to. Yeah, that one stuck out. I'll see if one more might come to mind while everyone else is talking. But yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jen Bob? Do you have anything?
Nothing that hasn't already been commented on. I thought it was good.
Well, you know what that means. It's your turn.
It's my turn?
It's your turn. Are you ready?
All right. I got fresh material written on the back of my other material.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So I joined in on tonight's show earlier today after Spot opened, so I don't have much material prepared, so here are some random jokes, some old, some new. I can't really remember which is which because I have the memory of a goldfish cracker. Not because I'm white, but because goldfish have 3-second memory and goldfish crackers have none, unless they take notes like I do. Some people say maybe I should cut back on smoking pot. That would probably help my memory. Downside to that is not only have I had a bad memory since grade school, but without smoking pot, I wouldn't have discovered half the shit I have because I'm an awkward person who tends to try to get from point A to point B as quick as possible. For example, I used to go to this McDonald's in downtown Calgary for over a year before I smoked a joint and discovered a Dollarama next door in the basement that I never discovered before. Just got baked and was like, where are these people going? They're going downstairs. What's downstairs? So many people. I look up this Dollarama sign. I'm like, I've been going to this McDonald's for over a year. You gotta fucking be kidding me. You ever talk to someone and think the world may have actually been a better place if your mom might have swallowed? Like at work where we have to stay 6 feet apart, and it would appear most people have ears for decoration only. Or other times it turns out to just be yourself talking yourself in the mirror. If more women swallowed, I feel like it would be a good alternative to procreating. Does it make you a cannibal if you swallow? Who the fuck cares because you're doing your part to control the population? And more women need to get over themselves and help curb ignorant breeding. That's also why I don't drive, because I'm a woman and I believe women can't drive. I'm just kidding. I don't drive because I only drive people crazy, and that's the only thing I'm good at. I used to want to have kids before I hit 30, and now that I'm approaching 33, I'm glad I didn't. Because I'm able to buy all my childhood dream toys for myself. And my sister had 4 kids so far, so now that her kids are old enough to babysit, I feel like now is the time to get started on having a family, because, or to start having a family before I need to start looking for decent retirement homes for my toddlers to consider for me. And I got a couple of giggles, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Good.
Yeah.
No closer, that's it.
Does anyone have any feedback?
Yeah. The opening and the closing. Goldfish thing, I was like, that's super cute, really funny. And then like saying that you're gonna like give your kids the brochures for like the old folks home you want to stay in. Like, I could see that being like a whole thing though, to be like, what does mommy want for Christmas? Like, some moms want like peace and quiet and blah blah blah, you know, and like have their kid just behave for 10 minutes, but like you want them to like go over these nice brochures for yourself, like the ultimate vacation.
Yeah, I like that.
Good. Anyone else?
The first thing I wrote down was goldfish notes, and I wrote down ... So if you're going to start off with that, for whatever reason, I was expecting it to go like a little bit longer just to do whatever. But then I wrote down Stoner Discoveries has got to have multiple tags, because he discovered the dollar store, but there's also got to be various other things that you discovered. Like I've been going on that for a while, so really one stoner to another. I know there's multiple tags because I've tripped out and had like some of my best times. Like just going, whoa, I've lived here for years and I never knew this view was from here, type of thing.
Right.
And then you said something about oral and cannibalism or something like that. And then I wrote down, women perform cannibalism the way men cast genocide when they're alone.
Ooh, nice. I don't know, everybody else started talking about swallowing and stuff, and I was like, I did write the one swallowing joke, but I was like, well, since there's a trend going, fuck it.
Well, there's a difference between spit swallowing and savor, and that's like lust and love.
Huh.
What?
That's a joke I was told like when I was like 17 or 18. That's just one of those stupid things that stays in your head forever.
I only wrote down one thing, like, yeah, you say you discovered, like, the Dollarama, but I think you could push it further. Like, it doesn't have to be a true story. Like, I remember one time I was high and I walked down the street and I discovered, like, a fetish festival where, like, there was just someone walking around in a gimp suit, and I followed them, and there was, like, a whole... Like, because we have that in Montreal. We have a fetish festival. And also one time I was high and I followed an Asian person and I discovered that Chinatown was closer to my house than I thought it was. So, I don't know. Like, you could go, like, wild with these things, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it was just something just kind of threw together because I decided to take a nap before this.
That's okay. Yeah. Steven, do you have anything?
Yeah. I think that there's plenty of like weird stoner stuff that can happen more in that dollar store. There's like something like cool like joints in there. Like for some reason it turns out to be that's where actually the like there's a cool dispensary in there. I just think that there can be like plenty of stuff to talk about in there.
Oh yeah.
lost in the dollar store with all those aisles right when the high kicks in. So like,
That's
just
happened to me.
wondering and just looking at, oh, I might need glitter.
No, that's when you end up with those sparkle bombs that you just twist and they go. I've done that one. How did I get these? Oh yeah, I
Or
got baked in the dollar
weird
grandma.
thing that looks like
A
a
cracker?
No, that weird thing. It's like slinky, and you could put things in it. Like it's
Yeah, a
okay. You
cracker.
guys are
The
looking
thing-
at me weird.
You
It's like
pull it and it explodes. It
no,
looks like a candy.
Or like the jiggly masturbation trainer for boys. So
it looks like
No?
that. Is
Are
that
you
what
talking
it
about
is?
the snake thing?
No, it's like it looks like a cross between a butthole and a penis. It's like a penis with a butthole in the middle. It's like squishy. It doesn't
Flashlight?
matter.
yeah, it's a
No,
knockoff
it's a
trainer.
Dollarama.
That's
It's
what
a,
it is.
Can you
It's a
post
Dollarama
this later?
it's like it's for kids. It's like something sensory to play with, but like as an adult, it looks like really sexual.
Is it like one of those, like,
Oh,
you try to
oh,
grip onto it, slinky
The
things?
jiggly
It's
things.
like,
no,
Yeah.
it's
you
the
try to grip onto it,
tooth
it slides out of your hand each time you try
Yes,
to
you
Yeah.
you
Yes.
both got it. Yes.
That's a sex toy now. I swear to God, you can actually buy those online as just sex toys.
Oh.
That's
I think that's the modern day
It's a
flashlight.
jerk-off
It's
trainer.
a big thing around. Like
so many millennial children masturbated with them. They were like, let's just market them. I
As
like
child
seriously
size
like
fleshlights?
crazier and crazier stuff could happen in that, and then you find out you've been on acid the whole time. Like you've been on like any other like psychedelic the whole time. Like that's why it got so nuts.
It was actually mushrooms the whole time.
I used to do so much acid in the early 90s. So much acid through the college days. Holy shit.
That's a great ending to a story, Jen Bob. And it was mushrooms the whole time. The end.
So here on Vancouver Island, we had what was called the Blizzard of '94.
mm.
Like it was to the point that the city of Victoria, like the government of British Columbia, closed down because we had meters of snow, like completely unheard of for this region because we're the most temperate part of Canada. Like our average temperature during winter is like 7 Celsius, which is what 48 degrees if you're in the States type of thing. So like we don't get that much snow. When we get snow, we don't get that much. But we had like the blizzard of '94. And during that summer, I was in college and we took acid. And we took acid with one of our friends that was doing it for his first time. So like we decided to play it safe, and there was this park across the street from his place called it was the Crystal Pool, and had like a big baseball park and shit like that behind it. Like so you're in this big fenced in confined environment, safe spot. And we were screwing around and having a great old time, but somewhere along the lines he decided to go, poof, I'm out of here. And he ran off into a shadow and we lost him. So we're tripping on acid. He's on it for his first time, and we now lose our buddy. And however, like we found out like about 8 hours later, he was kind of A-okay because we wound up getting a phone call from his parents.
Yeah.
Telling us that he had now been admitted to the hospital because he had frostbite on his feet because he took off his shoes somewhere along the lines.
Well, at least he's not dead, right?
This taught me that acid is a summer drug.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much.
Mushrooms too.
We're already at 2 hours. So does anybody want to say anything before we start wrapping up? Everybody went, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
That's me on Twitter.
Yes. So now is the time to plug in anything that you have coming up. Any sort of social media outlet that you want people to use or to follow you on. Steven, do you have anything?
No, just name Steven Golditch. It's
Okay.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect. What about you, Jen Bob?
Jen Bob X, because Jen Bob was already taken.
Okay.
So on everything.
And Morgan, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's just Morgan Pearson did it, because I did. And this Monday, I'll be live at 8 p.m. Central Time with a bunch of American comedians for the Monday night comedy show. So if you follow me or if you follow, well, actually add me on Facebook, you'll get to see the links for that show.
Perfect. What about you, John?
My Twitter handle is right there. My Instagram handle is Tait Comedy. I produce shows here on Vancouver Island. My Facebook page for that is Did They Say That? With a question mark. And because of the fact that we are now in phase 3 of COVID restrictions, and like I just did my first show a few weeks ago, like in a bar that normally has a capacity of 180.
Yeah.
But we wound up having like a capacity of like 60 with like plexiglass all over the place and stuff like that. So we did 2 shows.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm looking at a few places. So by all means, check out Did They Say That? Because I'll be bringing over a headliner from Vancouver and having a lot of basically the biggest punches. Because when I produce shows, I also like to pay people at the same time. So it's not
That's
cheap.
good. If it take all of these things you just told me and post them on our messenger group so that Scott can post it on the workshop. As for me, I have a podcast called The Dirty Four, and like a few other things. But if you follow me on Facebook, I'll just add you to these.
Yeah, the Dirty Four podcast, 10 out of 10 recommend. So hot, so fun. Shameless plugging here. I was a guest on the show, so you should go listen to it.
Yeah, she was a guest on my morning segment, Victoria Shoots the Breeze, as part of the Dirty Four. So did everyone have fun? Did the workshop like do good for you? Was it?
It was a good use of the Thursday night.
Yeah.
Always fun.
None of us are
Thursday.
really hitting any of the stages because they're all, for the most part, closed. So it was a good use of a Thursday night. We can have like minds kind of collaborating, just talk about stuff.
That's true. It's a good way to network as well. All right, so I'm gonna say good night to everyone because it's already very, very late here. So thank you,
Bye, y'all.
and I'll see you around on
Almost
social
10
media.
o'clock where I am.
Oh, really? That's good. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
Bye.